המושיח, בביאס המושיח, אני מאמין. בביאס המושיח, בביאס המושיח, אני מאמין.
Dark clouds began to cover the skies of Europe. The Nazis were rising. Despite the terrible decrees and the yellow patches and the ghettos, no one could believe or fathom what was to come. Only a few read it correctly, and one of them was the Boxer Rebbe, whose Hasidim made a great effort to save him. And as the Nazis entered Poland, they smuggled him from Poland to Vilna, and from there he made his way across Russia to Shanghai, and eventually he made his way to America in 1941, having escaped what were to be the atrocities. But meanwhile, back in Poland, so many of his Hasidim and so many of those whom we are here to honor and memorialize were being shipped off daily to their death in cattle cars on the railway system. We heard described how they were packed in 3-4 day journeys, no facilities, barely air to breathe, woken from their warm beds in Warsaw in the middle of the night, husbands separated from their wives, children from their parents, elderly often shot on the spot in front of their loved ones, and sent on trains to here, Treblinka, where we'll be tomorrow, Majdanek, Auschwitz-Birkenau, where we're going on Friday. On one of these trains was this great chazan, this great chassid of the Boxer Rebbe, the Bazriel David. And on a train ride, one of the fellow Boxer Hasidim came over and begged him to sing the niggin, the tune of the Boxer Rebbe from Yom Kippur, the unique tune of Mara Kohen, such a joyous moment when the Kohen emerges from the Kodesh HaKadoshim unscathed, symbolizing the atonement of the people. And he looked at me and he said, now? Here? On this train? Going to who knows where? After what we just saw? But the Boxer Chassid Rabbi Bazriel David was no longer paying attention to his friends or anyone else on the train. All he could picture was standing next to his Rebbe, the Boxer Rebbe, on Yom Kippur. And it was he who was leading the tefillah, the prayer, of that most sacred day. And suddenly before his eyes, as he was picturing Mara Kohen, his mind moved to other words. The words we were just singing, Ani Mamin. B'yamuna shleima, I have faith. I have full, complete faith. B'vias HaMashiach, in the coming of Mashiach. V'afa pisha yismameya, and even though he delays, im kol zeh, with that, achake lo b'chol yom sheyavo, I wait every day for his arrival. And as he pictured those words in that most horrific place on that train, packed in with the circumstances that are unfathomable to us, suddenly a tune struck him. And he began to hum, to sing those words to this tune. He was lost by himself, almost unaware and transcending the circumstances around him. Just over and over and over again, singing this Ani Mamin. This Boxer Chassid was no longer on a train, no longer a prisoner, a captive. He had ascended on high somewhere as he just sang Ani Mamin over and over and over. And suddenly he emerged from this transcendent place, begged for a pen and paper, and decided right there he had to record the notes to this new tune, this new Ani Mamin that he had composed in that place. And then he challenged the train, many of whom had begun to hum and sing it with him, until almost the entire train was now on their way to their death, but singing Ani Mamin be'amuna shleima, about the complete and whole faith they have in the Almighty and the coming of Mashiach. And he pledged to the people on that train, I will give my portion of the world to come, my chelik and olam haba, to whoever could get this piece of paper with these notes, with this tune, to my Rebbe, the Boxer Rebbe in New York. And as you can imagine, there was a silence on the train. Get the piece of paper to New York? How? It's impossible. two young men were determined to fulfill this request. And from the train, they climbed on one another. They were lifted through a crack in the roof of the train, a hole they expanded to escape. And they jumped from the train while it was moving. One of them died on the spot, didn't make it, but the other took that piece of paper with the notes and somehow managed to make his way to Israel. Perhaps he saw the Rebbe's son, the Imre Eish, who was in Tel Aviv. And by mail, this piece of paper with the notes of the tune to Ani Mamin, so familiar to us, was sent to the Modzitzer Rebbe who was in New York. He received this piece of paper, these notes, but he had no idea how to read notes himself. Though very musical and loving nigunim, he couldn't read music. And so he called upon his most beloved singer, Rabbi Tzion Shenker, Olav HaShalom, who just passed away this year. He handed him the piece of paper and he begged him. At a gathering, at a tish of the Hasidim, Rav Hutner was there, other Rebbes were there, and he said, please, I beg of you, read these notes. And he read the notes, sang the tune of the Ani Mamin that described the circumstances in which they were written. And on the first Yom Kippur following, the Rebbe sang the Ani Mamin tune, thousands of people in shul, not a dry eye in the place. And said the Modzitzer Rebbe, with this nigun, the Jewish people went to the gas chambers. And with this nigun, with this tune, the Jews will march to in fact greet Mashiach. How can we have faith in a place like this? Where is there room for trust and belief? Where is the Ani Mamin not only in God, but in the arrival of Mashiach? There are no answers to these questions. We can explore them, we can plumb the depths, we can analyze, we can debate. There are no answers to how. But as has been famously said, when we reflect on what we've seen these 2 days and what we'll see the rest of this week, our job, as we absorb and we consider what we're seeing, is not to ask lama, not to ask why. Why did God conceal himself? Why did God hide his face in an unprecedented, unparalleled fashion? Because that question has no answer. Maybe someday, maybe in the next world we'll get an answer, maybe not. But it has no answer in the here and now. And so rather than ask lama, why, the question is lema, for what? What will we do? How will we react? What will we take from this? Mishnah says, "B'makom she'ein anashim mishtadel liyos ish," in a place that there are no men, be a man. Because this is a place that there are no people left. Their memory has been eradicated. We sit here and there are only monuments in stone. This is a makom she'ein anashim, but it's up to us, liyos ish. We can be those transformative leaders. We can live those lives that gives their memory meaning. We can be people of virtue, of a Jewish enthusiasm and energy, of a life of passion. As we spoke about earlier in Tekochin, it's easy to light memorial candles. It's easy to honor the dead with a yurtzeit candle, a yizker candle. But to light our own candle? To honor those who die al Kiddush Hashem? We can all do. But to incite, to light a spark of our own candle, to live on Kiddush Hashem, that's the challenge that's on all of us. So as we sit here in this place and we sing those words, whose tune was composed on a train here to Treblinka, who someone gave their life trying to carry those notes to the Modzitzer Rebbe, understanding the impact that tune can have for generations to come. And as we sing those words in honor, that great Chazan who composed them, and the messenger who carried them, and the Rebbe who promoted them, and we honor the nearly 1 million who were murdered in this spot, let's indeed prove worthy so that we can celebrate his arrival, finally, after all this time. אני מאמין, אני מאמין, אני מאמין באמונה שלמה בביאת המשיח, בביאת המשיח אני מאמין, ואף על פי שיזמם